Welcome home. This is the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day's a holiday and there's always room for one more. Come right this way, have a seat with me today in the corner booth celebrating our 113th week. Sweeney clear that floor, Katie bar the door, Molly put on another pot of Irish coffee, and bring out the Irish dancers. It's time we get this show on the road. We've got another full house today, not a chair to spare. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host, and you can reach me on my webpage at irishroots.com, and be sure to check out the written show notes on my blog. I got some extra things there, and I've got some links you just click on and go right to them. Some of the items that I talk about in this podcast. We just don't have the time or the patience to spell out all these little addresses that sometimes amount to what seems like 100 characters or more. So that makes it easier. And if you go to that blog or if you go to my webpage, you can also find easy ways to search all of my books and all of my videos and all of my podcasts for free. So you can't beat that. And you can also phone 816-256-3360 to leave your comments on my recorder. Try it, you'll like it. Well, among today's topics, the Irish family name of the week is Moriarty. One more time. Number 2, Obama targets Ireland. Number 3, the book of the month is County Armagh Genealogy. 4, Scottish Tartan Archives. 5, Kenyans overrun the Irish very convincingly. 6, see you at the National Archives Family History Fair in KC. And 7, the Irish video of the day, one of them at any rate, the best Riverdance smiles yet. Well, it's time now for the notes for this week on what's going around here, what's going on here at the cafe. And we're going to be recording at the National Archives Genealogy and History Fair on May 23rd at the National Archives. That's the National Archives in Kansas City. We've got a major branch there, and I think some of the other branches are doing it too. But this is the grand opening for the new location in Kansas City, which is down by their Union Station, so that should be fun. And that's May 23rd, and I think they're having a lot of officials officiate the day before, so it's going to be quite the thing. Number 2, here's another book finder site on the internet. You know, sometimes I'll go out looking for some real rare books, sometimes Irish, sometimes genealogy, and hey, sometimes archaeology, or sometimes something even stranger than that. But here's one that has 130 bookstores, 80,000 booksellers, and 90 million new and used books, according to their own site. And that's bookfinderforyou.com. And 4 is the number 4. But I've got that link on the blog. Number 3, here's something for those that are looking for the Irish ancestors. Here's some tips for finding ships' passenger lists from the 1820s to the 1940s. Now, it's not just for Ireland, it's just for anybody searching, so that might be of help to you. And that's at Gen Roots blog. And you'll be able to get that just by clicking on the on my blog as well. I've got a link. You can go right to it. And let me see. 4, yes, we're still doing the Irish Song and Recitation Festival on Irish Roots at irishroots.com or on iTunes. You can get it in either place, and I've got a link to both places on the blog. You can get there, and we'll be finishing that up pretty soon. I think I got one in this week. Maybe one next week, but sometime soon here I'm going to have to take a break and just catch my breath. Since I'll be at the archives next week, I might have to skip a week, but we'll do the best we can. And hey, after I get back from the archives, I'll be bringing a podcast or two back to you from there as well. What's that else? What's that leave us here? Oh, yeah, I've been pretty busy on Twitter just listening and watching and seeing how it's organized. And here's a shout out to three folks that I had latest correspondence with: the Irish Arts Center, and number two, Diansky. I don't know how you really pronounce that. And number three, Queen Borg. Those are three real good folks on Twitter, and I enjoy reading their twits, that's for sure. Well, I think that does it for what's going on around here right now. Let's move on to the book of the month. Well, today's book of the month is County Armagh Genealogy and Family History Notes, and that's part of the 34-book set from the Irish Families Project. And I'll just give some of the sources and notes from this book. And there's some more books, a book that tells you about more books. This is just one little section from my book on Armagh. Here's some sources. In any county, you might find books like this, so just keep that in mind. Here's some printed sources from the County Armagh Genealogy book. We recommend Guide to County Sources in Armagh, 1996. Printed in Belfast by Prony, that's the Public Record Office of Northern Ireland. And here's another good one, Researching Armagh Ancestors. That was published in the year 2000, at least my copy is. That was by Maxwell. And here's some older ones. Here's one from 1819, The Pedigree of Molyneux or Molyneux of Castledillon, County Armagh by Sir T. Phillips. Here's another book, A Record of the Descendants of John Alexander of Lanarkshire, Scotland, 1878. And here's one From Armagh to Parks, A History of the Clark, Brown, Campbell, Tanswell, Johnstone, Davis, and Cresswell families, published in 1990 by Campbell, or authored by Campbell. And here's just one more, Connecting the Con, Cowan, Greenaway families from County Armagh to Upper Canada, and that was published in 1995. So that's a good one. There's a few more there I'll have on the blog if you want to click and see. But you might just find a couple of centuries worth of your own genealogy either now or later in some of these books. So keep that in mind when you're researching. You don't have to do it all just on the internet or just in modern computerized repositories. You can also find quite a bit in those old books. And, of course, those old books are all going online. I've got a lot of mine there on Google. And, of course, you can search them on my webpage, too. So there's just some more reasons you can go for books to find your family heritage. Hey, you know what we got coming up? We've got the best Riverdance video spoof that I've seen yet, and it's got some real dancers. And I tell you, it's the first time I've seen this nationality do it, and boy, they do it with style. You'll be surprised, just like the judges were. But now it's time to raise our eyes skyward, give thanks, and ask for help. Here are today's Magnificent Seven. Welcome to Sue Morrissey of Canyon Lake, California. Looking for the Morrissey family. Could be from Ballyneedy or Bruff. And we used Morrissey as the family name of the week last week, so I hope you enjoyed that, Sue. Number two, Gabriel Criswell of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Your 3-volume set, Keating's History of Ireland, has shipped. Number three, Terry Edwards of Woodstock, Georgia. Your Families of County Cavan has shipped. 4, Paul Norris of Syracuse, New York. Your Irish Book of Arms has shipped. 5, Christopher Beale of Lindenhurst, New York. Your Irish Census of 1659 is out the door. Number 6, Bernard M. Malloy of Washington, D.C. Your County Mayo Genealogy and Family History Notes and your County Kilkenny Genealogy book has shipped. And last but not least, Lori Wells of North Richland, Texas. Your Return to Irish Roots DVD has shipped. And that's our first DVD. We've got a lot of entertaining things in there. our first home video we did of our Irish trips when we took folks over back in the 80s, and a couple of podcast samples, and all 14 or 15 of our video podcasts are on there too. So it's sort of a way to launch our Irish Roots University with a very basic beginning, but something that everybody can probably take something from. So check it out if you get the chance. Hey, and that reminds me to say thank you to each and every one of you who are a member. You sure help keep things going here, this podcast, and covering the events and trying to help folks whenever we can. So thanks for being a member, everybody out there, all of you who are members now, who are just might be later this week. You never know. Well, now it's time for the Irish Family of the Day. Well, the family name of the day today is Moriarty. Now, we did Moriarty back in 2008, but we've got another member joined up, and I thought we better cover it again. We'll add a little bit to this one, too. We'll have some new resources. We might just do that every time somebody else joins up with a name we've covered. We'll just add a little extra to it. And eventually we'll come up with a long one just on the name, I guess. And this is in honor of member Joan Albrecht of Desborough, Canada. Now, you know there's a lot of related spellings of every Irish name, and Moriarty can be found with an O or with a Mac before it, so don't let that throw you. And it seems like that first vowel in the name, Moriarty, like the M-O-R, well, that O can be a U or an A, and it's even changed to shortened forms like Maury has been sometimes confused with Moriarty, and even names like Murdoch. Now, who would have known Murdoch and Moriarty had been the same things in some instances? So that gives you some tips there, and we found spellings in variant spelling groups number 2488, 1604, and 1553, and that's taken from the Master Guide to the Various Spellings of Irish Family Names. Got a link to that book on the blog. Well, let's take a little bit of look at the history of that name. And you know, the O'Moriartys are really associated strongest with County Kerry, even though you're going to find them in Cork, you're going to find them up north too. But they're of the same stocks in County Kerry as the well-known O'Donohues and the O'Mahoneys in that area. And they were centered in the western part of County Kerry. And gosh, if you've gone to Ireland and stayed in the west, you've probably been in their territories, you know? You drove right through it and didn't know it. Now, that would be in the baronies of Corkaginy and Trugahemy, and centered in Castlemaine Harbor most anciently. And that's even before the Normans invaded in the 12th century, so this goes way back. And with the coming of that Norman invasion, the family really fell from power, and the Fitzgeralds rose to power at that time. And the O'Moriartys still stayed into Kerry all the way down to modern times. And here's something new. Joan Denise Moriarty was the founder of the Irish National Ballet, and she's sometimes known as Ireland's First Lady of Dance, and she was born in Mallow, County Cork. So if you're a particularly graceful Moriarty, or you can really cut the rug out there on the dance floor, perhaps you're related to that family line. I'd be looking now. Hey, what about the Irish family coats of arms? Yes, sirree, O'Moriarty is in the Irish Book of Arms, and there's an eagle on that arm. Doesn't that stand for the greatest clans of all? I don't know. And on the crest, there's an arm that's in armor, and they're holding a sword fessways, entwined with a serpent all proper. Hey, you know what's coming else up later in this episode before we're done here? We're going to find out exactly where and when the World Irish Drum Championships are going to be held. And there's still time to get into that one, so take advantage of it. Well, let's take a look before we leave Moriarty here. Let's take a look at how many times we find the name in our free master index on the web page. If you typed in Moriarty, what would you find? Well, here's a couple of examples. Moriarty in Boston, Bishop Moriarty, Moriarty's Hotel, and Families of County Kerry, Ireland is the book you'd be finding those things in. And I think we've also got a little web page of the week that it tells a little bit about Moriarty's Hotel. What else? Well, you can find in the index to the history of the clan Aurori, the two Moriartys are listed in that. So I wonder which two Moriartys they were. The greater and the lesser? I can't remember. You can also find O Moriarty given in the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters and in the Families of County Cork and in several other of the county books if you take a look. And, of course, there's no lack of Moriartys in America because they're in my Irish Families on the California Trail book, too. And they're cited in Keating's History of Ireland, which is another great old history, and that's in the parish of Timplenoe and adjoining parts. So they're in the great histories of Ireland, and they're in Ireland in the earliest times, and they're in America. So you're not going to have any trouble finding Moriartys, are you? The problem might be you're finding too many of them, and you have to narrow them down. So pay attention to those first names in your family tree. It might pay off later. Well, now it's time we do move to all those websites and web pages of the week. Well, here, we'll start it off. We've got 4 of them today we'll take a look at. The best I've found yet, a Riverdance video, and it'll give you a few laughs, and you'll see a little skill, too. And I guess this is a UK version of the show, but I tell you, you're going to enjoy it if you stick through and watch it for a few minutes. And you're going to find out about Stavros Flatley and son, perhaps distant relatives to Michael Flatley of Riverdance fame, but you'll have to take a look at it. I've got the link on the blog, found it on YouTube. Number 2, here's another one, County Armagh Ancestry Online. There's sites up for just about every county in Ireland, and this is a good one. You've got some searchable records and like 310,000 birth records for Armagh and 197,000 marriage records. They've also got death records, census records, and Griffiths valuation. So it's all coming together. Pretty soon here, there'll just be 1 or 2 places to go for all those facts, and you have to go somewhere else for all the color. And that's why I'm here for you now. Number 3, the ancient history of the distinguished surname Moriarty, and that's at MoriartyUSA.com, link on the blog. And here's a new one for Moriarty, Moriarty's Bar, and that's in Mallow, County Cork. And I've got a link to that on the blog. And they tell us about Moriarty's Bar being named after Joan Denise Moriarty, who was, as we mentioned, the founder of the Irish National Ballet. Ireland's first lady of dance was born in Mallow and lived part of her life not far right from where the bar was situated. So you could sit there and have a pint and just think about old Joan Moriarty. And Moriarty's is full of old world charm, they say, and it's packed with memorabilia. Old pub signs, old pub mirrors. Boy, just a lot of old pub stuff. And a lot of interesting antiques. The link's on the blog. Well, that brings us up to everybody's favorite, the last segment of the show. And that is Curious News and Notes. Well, we thought we would let you know one more time about the World Boron Championships in Milltown, County Kerry. And, of course, the boron, spelled B-O-D-H-R-A-N, is the Irish drum that you see people carrying around. You know, usually you got the little beater, the little stick in the right hand, and you carry the drum in the left, and usually you're in a seated position and you play that. But this is the 4th year for this festival, and it's the only one of its kind in the world. I think it's time that'd be a fun thing to start right here in the States, wouldn't it? A United States playoff, and we could send the champion to Milltown, County Kerry. And I guess if you knew the judges well enough, they might vote for you. Now, there's a thought. Now, Germany, France, and the UK, as well as the US, already have representatives showing up for the contest, and I've got a link on the blog, so be sure to check that out if you've got any interest at all. And number 2, just another reminder, bike rentals are on the rise in Ireland. I talked to just 2 people in the last week that either have been or want to go on a little private bike tour of their own in Ireland. And they're having 40 new rental stations and 450 bicycles available starting in July in Dublin at their new rental stations. Link on the blog. Number 3, now for all you Tartan fans, there's the Scottish Register of Tartans for the National Archives of Scotland, or from the National Archives of Scotland. Good place to go to find your Scottish tartan. And of course, there's really no such thing as an old or ancient Irish tartan tradition for the families in Ireland, so don't get confused by that. But hey, you can go here and pick yourself out a nice Scottish tartan of your own. I think I saw where they said they'd let you register it, and hey, why not? Number 4, the County Leitrim Post newspaper is shutting down due to the economic downturn. Boy, just like the papers in America, they're having trouble everywhere. The company's owners, however, said that their 12 other regional titles are performing very well. But in poor old Leitrim, it seemed that advertising slowed to a crawl. Well, that was the last chance to advertise for your ancestors in Leitrim in that paper. You're going to have to find another paper to advertise in, but remember, you can always use those local newspapers to put an ad in there to catch somebody's eye. Just don't say that you're a rich American looking for your ancestors, or you'll have to give them a cut of the estate. But no, seriously, they're usually very, very helpful if you catch that one right person. You can even write a letter to the editor as well as place a little personal ad searching for your ancestors. Number 5, Obama targets firms in Ireland. That's the headline from the irishtimes.com, and it talks about Obama limiting the tax advantages to companies who settle in Ireland to do business. And there might be just a few Americans setting up business in Ireland for more reasons than one. So that could hurt them there if the advantages start to disappear. Number 6, Kenyans dominate the Belfast Marathon. It looks like John Mutai was the first man to win this race 3 years running. The top Northern Ireland runner, in other words, the top person who was actually a native of Northern Ireland, came in 5th, and that was veteran Alan McCullough. And, that wasn't much better for the Irish on the women's side of the field. The first Irish woman to come in came in 4th place, who made the run in just under the 3-hour mark. You know what? That's not bad, though, because there were 17,250 people who took part in that Belfast City Marathon. I don't know where I would have ranked, but I'm sure it would have been in the thousands somewhere. Hey, that does it for the day. Remember to contact me by leaving your comments on my webpage at irishroots.com, or send by mail to our American address, the Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri, 64116. Leave your message or report on things in your part of the world when you call my phone recorder at 816-256-3360. Skype me at Irish Roots Cafe. Find me on MySpace at Irish Roots Cafe. Find me on Facebook at Mike OLaughlin, and on Twitter as the Irish Roots Cafe. And remember, members foot the bill, so they get first priority, but we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away.